Promise further updates in fast-moving investigations. We have the latest for you. Then later, Parliament divided over what to do with Fomina MP as governing MPP disowns his member following his decision to contest the December polls as an independent candidate.
His attention has been drawn to it, but he's pondering over the content of the letter.
Well, the Speaker himself facing this thing for the first time. He will look at the Constitution first and our standing on it, and then he may decide to either get the committee to look at it.
My member of Legal Committee of Parliament is warning any attempt to declare the seat vacant will amount to an illegality.
Would have been breached if he had actually written to the party to say that my intention is to leave the majority caucus but continue to stay in Parliament as a member of Parliament for Fomina. Then in that case, the provision would have been technically breached. But now as we speak, I don't see it being breached. And so you see that it's presented a very difficult problem for leadership of the House. They don't know how to deal with the matter.
This is Top Story with Evans Mensah.
And Top Story is always brought to you by Gasm Cement, the nation builder and Vodafone. The future is exciting. Ready tonight, the Ghana Police Service say they have arrested 5 people in connection with the murder of the MP for Infantiman Echo, Kwanzaa Hayford. Although details of the 5 suspects remain scanty, information we have indicates that there is a manhunt for other suspects in connection with this crime. But the police believe this is a major breakthrough in this fast-moving investigations that has so far, as we know now tonight, have led to the arrest of 5 people. In a post on Twitter, the Ghana Police Service say those arrested are being taken through lawful police procedures. Sources also say the suspects were picked up by investigators from the Central Regional Police Command from their hideouts in some communities within the region. We also understand tonight that as we are indicating that the police is promising further updates very quickly. Mr. Hayford, we know, was shot and killed after his car was attacked on the in Kuskum Mankasim Abuaji Dwadzi Road in the central region. Eyewitnesses say the suspected armed robbers, numbering about 6, shot the MP's vehicle when his driver attempted to drive away from the robbery operation. After the car stopped, the driver was shot by the armed robbers to serve as a deterrent to others who might try to escape. The MP is allegedly is alleged to have confirmed his identity to the robbers. When asked who the MP of the constituency was, he was then shot twice. That, of course, led to his death. We know that the IGP has already placed a 20,000 bounty on the killers of the incumbent MP for Infantiman. Now, in a statement issued by the Public Relations Directorate of the Service and signed by Sheila Kesibeya Backman, the service said the money will only be given for credible information that will lead to the arrest of the perpetrators. Of course, in the wake of all that, we learned tonight from the police themselves that they've arrested 5 people in connection with the murder, and they are being taken through lawful police procedures. Further updates, I understand, will be giving in due course. You want to stay with us once we get the latest on this. We'll bring it to you here on Joy 99.7 FM. To Parliament now, where the Speaker, Professor Michael Quay, is still pondering over what to do with a letter from the governing New Patriotic Party to him asking that he declares the Fomina constituency seat vacant. According to the Majority Leader, Evans Mensah, who has been speaking to us exclusively on this matter, the MPP, in a statement, said it had asked the Speaker to declare the seat vacant after it expelled the MP, Andrew Amarko Esiama, from Parliament from the party for filing to contest as an independent candidate. The party was clear that its all internal constitution doesn't allow the MP to continue to be a member of the party, but they also point to the 1992 constitution triggering an article in there that says that an MP will vacate his seat if he decides to go independent whilst in Parliament. Now, the Majority Leader, Osachi Mensah, says the Speaker is still considering what to do.
The regional party, NPP, has written to the Speaker. I saw a communication to me that they've copied the letter to me, but I've not received my copy. So this morning the Speaker called to see me, and I thought maybe he was going to deal with that matter. Unfortunately, he dealt with some other matter other than that one. So I asked him, and he said yes. His attention has been drawn to it, but he's pondering over the content of the letter. Because we were in a hurry to come to the chamber, I did not really interrogate it further to know what he meant by still pondering over it. So that's what I know about it. The letter is not written to me, it's written to the Speaker. So if there is any response, it should come from the Speaker and not me.
But just to be clear, this is coming from the Ashanti Regional NPP, not maybe the General Secretary John Boyd himself.
Oh, not really. I mean, if anybody notices an aberration, right, it doesn't need to be maybe from even the party, right? So that is.
Do you get the sense there is an aberration of a sort with?
I say if anybody notices an aberration, the Speaker is saying that he's going to ponder over the issue. For now, because the letter is not addressed to me, respectfully, I cannot comment.
But now, Leader, look on your face.
Thank you very much.
Look at your experience. What are the dynamics? Leader, your experience.
Well, you can clearly see there, this is a pretty dicey matter for Parliament, and it's proving to be a tough one. Now we are learning how it's dividing the House. We heard from Harry Adrisu earlier this week, who was clear that the MP in question for Fomena is on a limping leg. Today he's been speaking, Harry Adrisu, and he says the leadership of the House must tread cautiously in deciding the fate of the Fomena MP.
We are studying the move by the New Patriotic Party wanting to dismiss one of its renegade members who has decided to go independent. We are studying the constitutional principle of whether his exit is voluntary or involuntary, and whether by the sacking of his party from the party makes him an independent person, and whether this parliament will recognize him as an independent member of parliament. We are studying the provisions of Article 94 combined with 112 carefully, and when we reach a decision, we will communicate same to the Ghanaian public. But for now, he's walking on a limping leg.
So that is the minor leader there making that point about how his this particular MP in question for Fomena, who is filed to contest as an independent candidate in the 2020 elections, is limping. It's on a single leg there. We know that the article triggered by the MPP is Article 97G, which says you vacate your seat if the person leaves the party of which he was a member at the time of his election to Parliament to join another party, or seeks to remain in Parliament as an independent member, or if he was elected a member of Parliament as an independent candidate and joins a political party. The seat shall be declared vacant under these circumstances, and it includes the emphasis there being if he joins another party or seeks to remain in Parliament as an independent member. Now, Deputy Local Government Minister Obi Amwa, who himself is a lawyer, wants the Speaker to move and declare the seat vacant.
People had a right to cross carpet. So what happened was people get up in the morning, sit on the sides where they belong, read a statement, and they just carry their books and say that they have crossed carpet. They joined another party. Now the fourth Republican Constitution is very clear that you cannot do that. So if you remember, Moyoseni made a statement on the floor of the House that he had left the party. Automatically it means he had left Parliament, in which case there was a by-election. Now this situation is a bit peculiar. You have a sitting member of Parliament who has gone to prior nomination that he doesn't represent the party anymore, he's going independent. this is a situation where he did not even go for primaries. The party had options, but the first option for the party is that under the party's constitution, if you go independent, when you say anything that will bring the name of the party into disrepute, the party can sanction you, including taking you out as a member of the party. Well, the speaker himself is facing this thing for the first time. He will look at the constitution first and our standing on this, and then may decide to either get a committee to look at it, or may look at the rules here and elsewhere and decide that you pronounce on it. And then it's for the MP to also defend himself as to why the party should still see him as their rep. And in any case, the Constitution talks about vacancy in Parliament. If the Speaker were to rule that indeed he no more represents the party, there will be vacancy. Except that the Constitution also says that if the vacancy occurs within, let's say, 3 months before elections, there will be no by-election.
I want to go onto the phone lines right now and bring in Roxing Dafia Mekbo. He is a member of the Constitutional, Legal and Parliamentary Affairs Committee in Parliament, holds a view that the MPP's letter to declare the Fomena seat vacant may be an illegality in itself if the Speaker acts on it. He joins us on the telephone line right now. Mr. Dafia Mekbo, thank you for your time here on Top Story.
Thank you very much. Good evening to your listeners, especially to my constituents in Southern.
From what I understand, you believe if the Speaker acts on the wishes of the MPP, he may be perpetrating an illegality, correct?
You know, that's not what I said. What I said was that upon deeper reading of Article 97(1)(g), the Speaker may be wrong, not an illegality, but he may be wrong in acceding to the request of the MPP letter from the Ashanti region, particularly as regards the request to ask the MP for Formini to vacate his seat.
What makes it wrong?
Now, if you read the provision clearly, you understand that the framers of the Constitution are looking for a voluntary act. If you read the first portion of Article 97(1)(g), the provision begins with an if clause. It's a conditional clause. So that means if a member who was elected on the ticket of a particular political party decides to leave that political party, then they added another one to join another political party. Then, if that happens, then Article 97(1) would have been breached, for which a member will be asked to leave the house or vacate his seat in Parliament. Now, if you go to the second leg of the provision, it says that, or if that member decides to stay in Parliament as an independent candidate, that is also a voluntary act. That also suggests that when the member, for instance, writes to his party before the end of his term to say that I no longer want to associate with my caucus, which in this case is the majority caucus in Parliament. But in the letter says that I want to remain in Parliament, and in this case as the elected representative of the good people of Fomena. So in both scenarios, the framers of the Constitution were looking for a voluntary act. But what is What is subsisting now is not of a voluntary act. And the first scenario of Article 97(1)(g) is not what is at play, because he has not joined another political party whilst as an MP. So that one will have to abandon that. But if you go to the second leg, where the emphasis is being placed on the fact that he has filed to contest the next elections as an independent candidate while serving as the member of parliament for Formina on the ticket of the NPP, it is the NPP that is sacking him. So whether or not he will even contest the issue of the sacking from his party has not even arisen. If he decides to do that, it will take some time for that matter to be resolved. So in my opinion, Article 97(1)(g) has not been triggered at all. He hasn't taken any voluntary action to abandon the NPP either in parliament or to abandon them to join another party, as scenario 1 in 97(1)(g) anticipates.
Hasn't he taken a decision, in the words of the Constitution, to remain in parliament as an independent member?
No. What he has done is a mere declaration of intention. In fact, tomorrow he can decide to write to the EC that I am no longer interested in going ahead to contest in the 2020 December 7th elections. Yes, I have filed, but I am no longer interested. It is a mere declaration of intention. So what the Constitution contemplates in that phraseology is that a member who says that, for instance, I am leaving my political party, but I intend to stay in parliament as the elected representative of my constituents. That is what that provision means. The provision is not talking about.
You use the argument of him filing simply being an intention, but in the case you just cited, if he decides that, well, I want to remain in parliament, and but I don't want to be on the ticket of the MPP anymore, that too will be an intention. I mean, at what point does it become actualized, and then this clause triggers?
Now, Evans, let me explain this. The parliament that he's seeking to belong to as an independent candidate is a futuristic one.
And not this parliament.
And not this one.
Okay, I want to bring in your friend and colleague, another private legal practitioner, Martin Kwebu, who joins us on the telephone line. Mr. Kwebu, do you agree?
Not at all. I don't agree with Honorable Dafia Meko. Not at all. Look, Evans, this provision is quite clear to me. If the MP seeks to remain in Parliament as an independent member, look, he forfeits his seat. His seat shall be vacated. You see, he belongs to a political party, and there are rules. It's an association. And so having joined the association, he is bound to obey the rules. So if the MP flouts the rules and he's expelled from the party, he cannot seek to say that because he was expelled, 97 doesn't kick him. At all. He cannot eat his cake and have it. It doesn't work that way. He has gone against the rules of the party, and the party is expelled him. Even before the expulsion, let's even go. Number one, by his own conduct, he says he's contesting as an independent in the forthcoming elections, which means that he is an independent person now. So the argument that his independence starts after the dissolution of this parliament cannot stand. Not at all. The day he filed his nomination, that was the day he became an independent. Because what does the form say? He signed the form as an independent. It's not as if there is an intention to file next year. No, that form he signed and gave to the EC that is independent means that he's an independent on that very day.
Yeah, and he did it knowing very well that if he did it, he would cease to become a member of the MPP.
Voila, that's it. So look, I think this in the speaker is actually wasting time. He has to go ahead quickly and have the seat vacated. this is clear. I don't think we need to go round. Rather, if the MP is minded to keep the seat till the election, the right thing would be for him to challenge his expulsion. So while he's challenging it, if he gets an order for stay of execution of the expulsion, that is what the speaker can respect and then keep him, because there must be due process. But anything short of a stay of execution, that member, Mr. Siama, forfeits the seat. I mean, let's not.
Yeah, but Mr. Kwebu, but Mr. Dafamapo has a point when he argues that he's filed to contest as an independent, not in this parliament, not in the life of this parliament, in the next parliament. So as we speak, he is in parliament on the ticket of the MPP until this parliament's life expires.
Now, Evans, we will keep going round in circles. By that conduct, you see, the party has its rules that if you go independent, you are expelled. So for Mr. Siama to say that, yes, he wants to go independent, it means that he knows the consequences and is willing to serve, is willing to pay, okay? And the price is that he will forfeit the seat. So the argument that it should take effect in future, I really don't buy it at all. I don't buy the argument. It's really difficult to accept it.
I mean, Mr. Dafamapo, I mean, the argument about you are a member of an association, a political party. The party has rules. The rule says if you go independent, you cease to become a member of a party. For a member of parliament, that has even more severe consequences, because you cease to become a member of the party on whose ticket you went to parliament. And that means then that you have to forfeit, because the constitution is clear that if you leave the party. But you say it's not his decision to leave the party, he was sacked. But when he was taking the decision to file as an independent, he knew that once he did, he ceases to become a member of the parliament, a member of the party. That must count for something.
Now, yet you are. That's a good argument, but yet we have examples in the same party where people went independent. They were renegades, went independent subsequently, won the seat and rejoined the party. They were not dismissed. So when we take evidence, all those things will come into play. But I am looking at the provision of the Constitution that we are all seeking to interpret, and I am saying that if you look at the provision carefully, the framers are not looking at somebody who is being jettisoned from his own party. They are looking at someone who takes a voluntary decision to stab the party behind its back. In this case, the dismissal letter from the Ashanti Regional NPP Secretary is to the effect that they are rather dismissing him from the party. And I'm saying that is not an action that can be attributed to the Honorable Member of Parliament. The question is, we should be finding out from him whether he wants to still belong and act in consonance with the tenets of the majority caucus in Parliament. If he comes out publicly to say that I am renouncing my membership of the majority caucus in Parliament, and yet I want to remain until 6th January 2021, then the party can proceed on those pronouncements. But until that evidence can be led, it cannot be suggested that he is the one who is taking the decision.
You see the problem. You see the problem that creates. Then, if your argument holds, then can you imagine the number of people who go into primaries and lose will adopt this approach? I'll just file as independent and wait.
No, we are being had. Why? A lot of people have done that. You want me to mention it? Even in the NDC, it has happened. In the NPP, it has happened in the past. They haven't cracked the crib the way they seek to do in this matter. But they are proceeding on a constitutional provision. And I am saying that my brother Kwebu's thinking on this matter, for me, is erroneous. Because if the actions are attributable to the Honorable Formina member, then yes, I will agree with him. But now the actions are not attributable to him.
Yeah, I mean, Mr. Kwebu, but Mr. Kwebu, there's another leg of this.
Mm-hmm. But let me add that if this matter even has to be determined by a court of law, Article 99 makes provision for the procedure, even though it's an interpretation issue that has to be done on the constitutional provision. 99 says that it is the High Court that has jurisdiction to determine the question whether or not a member seat has become vacant. So it is a very prolonged, drawn-out matter that if he intends to contest, you don't even need to have the speaker determine the matter. As soon as he gets the inkling, he can sue.
Yeah, I mean,
speaker's hand can be stayed until the matter is determined judicially.
But Mr. Kwebo, there's another there are the two legs of complexity to your argument also. First is, assuming you declared vacant today, you leave the people of Omena with that representation for at least close to 2 months or even 3 months, because until the elections are done and we get a replacement, because technically constitutionally you cannot hold a by-election, right? And I doubt if the framers of the constitution anticipated a situation like this where the people of Omena or any constituent will be left like that because of what has happened. The second leg, it's really a contest between the party's constitution and the supreme constitution of the land, because as was argued, his sacking is not his own. It's a party that's taken a decision that is contestable in court.
Yeah, Evan.
No. Even
logic.
The contestation of the sacking will be an internal remedy matter.
Yeah, I mean, ultimately, the court can say he was unfairly treated.
No, that is when he exhausts the internal
processes. Yes.
Yeah. Yes, but I'm saying that if the speaker is minded to make a positive pronouncement on the letter from the Ashanti region, it is the High Court that has jurisdiction to determine the question whether or not, in these circumstances, we can say that a member's seat has become vacant.
And not the speaker.
And not the speaker.
Okay. Mr. Kwebo.
And not the speaker.
Evan, no, I disagree with Honorable Dafia Meto. Look, number one, when Dr. Wayo Seni crossed the carpet, did they have to go to Parliament? The High Court before his seat was declared vacant? No. There's first the administrative one that the speaker has to do. Then when the member is not happy and he wants to contest it, that's when the High Court comes in.
Exactly, but that is my point. That's the point I'm making. That
so the speaker must
if the speaker makes the pronouncement, that is when the member will be agreed. And that is when the question whether or not a seat has been declared vacant will arise.
Yes. So when the speaker acts, then we'll know. So the speaker has to act. Now, Evan,
very well. Pursuant to the procedure under 99.
Yes. Now, Evan, let's come to the substantive question. You see,
very well.
If we go, the logic of the argument that it is not Honorable Isiama's conduct is that then once a person is elected as an MP, now he's above the laws of his own party. He gets immunity from party discipline because he's an MP. That's not the logic of the Constitution. You see, we read the Constitution as a whole. You look at Article 97, just go down further, 97.2. You even see it expressly stated the powers that the political party has. It stated in 97.2 that notwithstanding paragraph G, that's the one we've been discussing, it says that a merger of parties at the national level sanctioned by the party's constitution or membership of a coalition government, blah, 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 shall not affect the status of a member. So the constitution itself here expressly recognizes that a political party still wields power over the MP. And so it's when the party sanctions a merger or that they should join another party, a coalition, that is when, in that case, the MP does not lose his seat. So I'm saying that when you read it together, you will definitely, there's one inescapable conclusion that the political party still has some control over the MPs. And that's the whole system. So you see why we have the whip system. Evans, ask yourself, if you tell that a political party doesn't have control over the MPs, why does the whip system exist in Parliament?
Yeah, well, very interesting points, gentlemen. But I just ran out of time on this, and I'm pretty sure the speaker understands is asked for some consideration to be done before he takes a decision. We've heard today the majority leader tell us that he's still considering it. not an easy place to be, especially when the Speaker himself, as we know his relationship with the New Patriotic Party, his party has written to him, oh yes, he's the Speaker of Parliament, but there are all manner of dynamics they're playing also going into the elections. Roxanne Dafiamepo, thank you very much. Also, Martin Kpebu, private legal practitioner. Well, it's time for News Night tonight.